Good morning, Rabbi Oziel. Liluy nishmas imi beros yirus Mordechai. Welcome to all the guests. Before we begin, I want to remind the Olam, do not come to this Beis Medrash if you're looking for me. There's going to be a shiur. There'll be, but not me. The shiur live is a Motzei Shabbos in Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh, right across the street from that Shvach hotel. I forgot what it's called. The Waldorf Astoria. Yeah. Waldorf. Right across, and there's going to be pizza and it's kedai even to drive in from Bet Shemesh. We have here Benjamin Bornstein. He's new to the shiur. He told me like this. He explained to me afterwards. He runs weddings, so he doesn't really have a chance to learn. But that 2 days ago, it was his sister's wedding. He said, "Oh, his sister's wedding. I'm a guest." As a guest, he brought his Gemara and he learned. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name, tzaddik? Menachem Ler. Shalom Aleichem. You also are Moshe Ler. Lerer? Correct. From? Flap. Shalom Aleichem. What's your name, tzaddik? Yosef? Come, get over here, Yosef. You have to tell me a little about yourself. Yosef is a Gevaldik kid. He was at my sister's house yesterday. You davened already chakras? No. But you found out about chakras? Here, come. Shalom Aleichem. What do you got over there? This is the notes. So where do you live?
Passaic.
I went to Passaic Yeshiva. You know that? No. You didn't know that?
No.
Wow. So yeah, I was in Passaic for 2 years. 35 Ascension Street. Anyways, thank you so much for coming. What? Of course. Meir Stern. She was my Mesadik Yidushin. All right. Send regards to Passaic. Thank you for coming. Shkoyach. Okay. What do we have over here? This is in Hebrew, so we'll read it a different time. This is from Neftalli Gurvitz. It's almost 4.5 years ago that I schlepped my father, Rabbi Yaakov Gurvitz, to the Siyum Shas B'nyanei Oman Yerushalayim. Both of us were inspired and felt a great urge to start and complete the Shas. We both seized the opportunity and began Brochas Daf Beis. The only difference between us is that he started with MDY and I started it with DIY. Do it yourself. I fell off the train a bit before the end of Brochas, and he's still steiging away with you from Tveria or anywhere here because for him it's about the Yomi. I can't tell you how many beginning of Masechtas I know, but was never consistent enough to continue after failure. Shalom Aleichem Avi, welcome back, we missed you. Now it's my father's turn to schlep me to MDY, and I never missed a day since beginning of Bava Basra, and even if I will, I know that it's about the Yomi. Thank you, and the MDY Talmidim that don't give up on klal yisroel. You hear that? The Talmidim that don't give up on klal yisroel. P.S. I'm seeking desperately a joint sponsor for my wife's green card. We live in Far Rockaway, New York. If you know anyone that could help us, please let me know ASAP. Since our deadline is July 26th, before application will be denied. Thank you, Neftalli Gurvitz. I'm just going to show the email for a second. If anybody knows something, give Valdek. Okay. Good evening, Rebelli. I would like to say thank you very much for the joy you give while explaining the daily Gemara. I'd like to ask for a favor. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe somebody can explain what we say. Can MDY make a sponsor page on the website that will directly go to a team member from MDY? Is he talking about the charity campaign? I'm not sure. So that there's no confusion whether the money was just dedication or meant for the team's member pocket. P.S. What should I tell my friends that don't have time to learn? Started my cotton doing sukkahs on my own, pays to catch up, still need Beitzer, Shana, Tainus, and Megillah. Your student Pinchas Akilov. What, the Olam is getting money on the side here? That's what he's saying? Givaldik. I think it's a great thing. Yeah. Chaim Hershkovitz. Maim Rabbi lo yuchlu lechabus ahava. Making sure not to miss a day. P.S. Can't wait for the day MDY will start a shiur in halacha. So putting on the list, Be'ez Hashem, I'm going to give a shiur in Chumash, Mishnah Brura, Yerushalmi, Yiddish, halacha, Shmiras Haloshen that we already got. Also, don't forget a second shiur in English, because there are people in America that this time doesn't work for them. They rather I give it in the evening, Ben Klein included. Be'ezer Hashem, it's all coming soon. Thank you, Chaim. He says it's going to be geschmack. If halacha, oh look, I think all those animations will be a game changer to understanding Shulchan Aruch halacha l'maisa. It's true. Yeah, Be'ezer Hashem. This is from Sholem Polberg, learning with Rav Ilan and Rav Eli. There's two screens, Elon Musk's and Eli Stefansky's. Rabbi said, this is what we call Russell. So Eli Dykman got a bunch of these videos and pictures of Belz Hasidim sending in that they're doing Russell this week, Dafka, Lekova the Daf.
Frische Russells, hat jetzt umbabbeln. Then another 24 hours bis gekocht.
24 hours bis gekocht. Okay, Givaldik. The Masech the spots for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Parnasah Chodesh, Moe Landy, Liluy, Moshe ben Shmuel Yehuda, the Mashgiach of Torah vodaas. Parnasah Chodesh, Ahron Fraiman, the schus to rebel, if you continue siyadta dishmaya and teaching Torah the klal yisroel. Parnasah Chodesh, Liluy, for shleima. Where's Eli Dykman? He's always on the top over there. He gets top spot. Always. It's like an algorithm. They know where he's at. What do you do? Tell us the truth. You chop your spot? Like, how do you always get to the top right?
D. You have to call in early.
Our friends, everything satisfying things like yisroel. Paras chaz before shleima, neftali הערץ ben העניא Leah, a hidden tzaddik in our generation. No, seriously, go back to Eli. I just want to ask him seriously. Go back to Eli for 1 second. Eli, just with your fingers, how many pictures did people send of this Russell? More than one? 3. Okay, you sent me the best one, I'm assuming. The koch, 24-hour koch. Parnas HaChodesh, Nishmas Zechariah ben Moshe, Nishmas Chai bas Yosef. Parnas HaShavua by Michael ben Shitrit. We're going to read this long one once, and then the rest of the week is going to be shorter in commemoration of the week of the 12th yard side Rabbi Yosef Oziel. It's like it feels like it was just a few weeks ago that I read this. 12th yard side of Rabbi Yosef Oziel of the Miami community, who passed away on the 13th of Tammuz at the young age of 42. Rabbi Oziel was a tremendous Talmud Chacham that had a global following. He was my inspiration to start and finish the last Daf Yomi cycle shortly after his passing in 2012. And I continue to learn Daf Yomi in his memory. His Shama should have an aliyah. Parnas HaYomi, Ephraim Jaffe, Liluy nishmas, Yitzchok, Ben Kalman Yaakov. That's your shver? No? Love it. Parnas HaYomi, L'Refua Shleima Shel Chaim Moshe Ben Chasya Rusa. Something like that. It doesn't say Russia. Rusa. What? Rusa? Related to this side of the table. It says here his name, but you told me not to. Whatever. Okay. Joel Zuri is chos for Steve Sichel for introducing me to MDY and being a great man. All the brachas. Shkoyach Steve goes around the world. The shgachas bringing people to Torah. Rabbi say, so we're in the middle of a sugya. Simple sugya, geschmack sugya. We have 2 psukim here. One pasuk says Achir Rabin Lahatois, that you go by the majority. Anytime you have a problem, a question, a suffix in halacha, you go with the majority. Why it says in the pasuk Achir Rabin Lahatois? We also see another concept. By the Egla Rufa, it says the closest city. So something called karev. What if these 2 are opposing halachas? There's a roiv and there's a karev. One object has a roiv, one object has a karev. Which one wins? So Rabbi Chanina says we go with the roiv. Roiv always wins. So the Gemara is going to attack Rabbi Chanina. Tashma, nimtza bein shnei sheivaches. If this little chicken was found between 2 dovecots, karev lezeh shaloi, if it's closer to 1 dovecot, it goes to this guy. The karev lezeh shaloi, whichever dovecot is closer, wins that little chicken. Even though 1 dovecot has more birds in it. So that's roiv. But we don't go by roiv. What do we go by? Karoiv. So you see that karoiv wins, not like Reb Chanina. Says Gemara, no. They both have the same amount of birds. Each one has 100 birds. So there's no roiv. There's only a karoiv. As the Gemara, but what about, okay, you have 100 birds here, 100 birds there, but you have a lot of birds that fly around the world. Now, Rashi says, this is talking about even when you find the bird outside of 50 amma. If you find the bird outside of 50 amma, we said it can't be a medada. Medada means it hops. We said, it says it physically can't go past 50 amma. So if you find the bird outside of 50 amma, that means it flew in there. It didn't hop there. And if it flew in from the rest of the world. There's a lot of birds in the world. So why do you say, it goes by the closest dovka? We're talking about, there's a nice, narrow pathway. Like in between, in the vineyard, it goes nice and straight. It could go for hundreds of feet. So now the Gemara says a new concept. No, this little chick could jump and hop more than 50 amma, provided that it has a shvil, it has a pathway, and it could turn around and look and find its house. If it could see its birdhouse, then it could go even more than 50 amma. So we're talking about two birdhouses, two dovecots on two sides, and the one that's closest will be zaycha in that chicken or that bird. The imisa, the malmasi, because in fact you think that this bird flew in from somewhere else. This is not a flying bird. This is a hopping bird, like we saw yesterday. That little chick that was on the table, it could barely walk. Certainly it couldn't fly. So since it's a hopper, it's a medadi, lo motzei. It can't get so far. They call it medadi v'hodar, chazi leikini medadi. If it could turn around and see its birdhouse, it will continue going even more than 50 amma. Liluy, loy medadi. Say Reb Chaim Berlin, when he got to the pasuk, hinoch yofa rayasi, hinoch yofa inayich yoinim. So he would cry. He said, why are you crying? He says, I'll tell you, because he had a personal story. When he was in Russia, an agent from the KGB came to him and he said, I want to do a bris milah on my son. He says, you're an agent from the KGB. What bris milah? He says, I want to give my son the option. If he wants to one day become a good Jew, I want to give him that thing. So says Reb Chaim Berlin, he says, Hinoch yafa rayasi. You are beautiful, even if you sinned. Yeah, the first Hinoch yafa, means you did mitzvahs. Hinoch yafa. What's a nayich yoinim? Let's say you did aveira. Why is it nayich yoinim? What does it mean? It says based on this Gemara on Daf Yomi in Bava Basra, that the baby pigeon, a nayich yoinim, he'll go as far as his eyes could see his house. He'll go even 100 amma, as long as he could turn around and see his thing. He says that's the pshat of this KGB guy. He was over aveira, but his eyes were constantly on the prize. He said, maybe one day my son is going to want to be from. Maybe one day my son. A yid always looks back to his source. See, nayich yoinim, looking back. Even over aveira is constantly thinking, one day I'll do tshuva. One day I'm going to come back. Amar Abai. Afanana mitanino dam shenimtzu ba'proizdor sveikei tamai shechaskasei min hamakar. Dam of a woman makes her tamei. As we'll see soon, if she goes into the Beis Hamikdash when she's tamei, she's bringing a carbon. If she touches food like truma, the food becomes tamei. You can't eat it. So now you have a suffix. You don't know where this dam came from. It could come from the uterus, the makar, which is roiv, or as the Gemara brings it as a mashal. The Gemara says there's a makar. There's an attic. Here you have a cheder, you have a room, you have a proiser, you have a hallway and a door, and you have an aliyah in green. It's the top floor. So what's closest to the door? The aliyah. So that's karayv. It's possible the dam comes from the aliyah. It's much more likely, though, that it comes from the cheder. Why? Because roiv dam comes from uterus. It comes from cheder. Very rarely, unless there's an injury, something it happens to be that the Achronim say, we're not familiar with what Rashi says, aliyah. We don't know what that is even. Okay, but let's suppose there's something called aliyah. The aliyah is closer to the proizdor than the cheder. So why do we say that she's tamei 100%? Because if the dam came from aliyah, not tamei. It's not dam that's matama a woman. So we have like this: dam shenimsa b'proizdor. You found the dam in the proizdor. Sveikei tamei. We don't know. Shechaskasim in a makar, but it's tamei 100%. Why? Because we have a chazaka that it came from the cheder, from the makar. Even though you could say that the dam came from the attic, it's closer. So what's the raya? Over here we say roiv beats out the karoiv. Mamish like Reb Chanina. So it's a raya to Reb Chanina, says Abaye. Says the Gemara, Amalei Rava. And the Gemara is going to prove that Rava took these words back. Roiv umatzui kamers. When it comes to this case over here, you have two things. Roiv dam comes from cheder. Also motzei. It's very frequent that it happens. So it's two things going for it. Versus the aliyah, which is only karev. Roiv motzei like Lamanda Amar. Nobody's going to argue in that. That's not a right to Reb Chanina. Of course, in this case, since you have two chazakahs, so to speak, a roiv and a motzei against one chazakah, the karev, those two are going to beat out the one. Nobody's going to argue that. Tani Reb Chia, dam animtza beproizdor, chayavim olav al bias migdash. Think about it. A woman comes into the Beis Hamikdash and she has dam. She has to bring a carbon. Now, why in the world does she have to bring a carbon? Let's say she's not tamei. Is it mutter to bring a carbon? No. What is that called? Chulin ba'azara. You're bringing an animal on the mizbeach for no reason. Chulin ba'azara. It's a deraisa. From the fact that she's bringing a chatos, huh? I don't know about this.
Second time.
What? Second time what?
You said you don't know.
When I say I don't know, I mean you're wrong. It's giving you cover. Maybe you're right. Fine. I don't know. Anyway, so, huh? You're saying if it's the rice. Okay. I'm saying it's the rice. So, you have chulin ba'azara. You're saying no. She brings a carbon. Why? Because I'm certain that she's tamei. And she walked in the Beis Hamikdash in Tumah, so she has to bring a carbon. So this is not a safek, this is a vada. And we saw on the roiv. V'sarvin all of us at truma, and if she touched truma, if you have a safek, let's say, this guy is tamei, not tamei. A man touches truma, and we don't know if he's tamei. Maybe he touched the sheretz, maybe not. Maybe he's a zav, maybe he's not. What do? You just leave the fruit. You put it in a box, you don't do anything with it. To burn truma, you have to be certain. You can't just burn truma. But they take off the vav here. The Bach takes out the vav. Because he's actually arguing on himself over here. Amarava, not vin. It's not a continuation. It's a new thing. Amarava. Shmamin of the Rebbe Chia last. From the fact the Rebbe Chia says that she brings a carbon, and the way he says it, Shmamin of the Rebbe Shmamin or Roiv v'Karoiv. There's only one chazaka against another chazaka, one against one. Roiv v'Karoiv halicha Roiv. A second ago, Rava said that we're not talking about a roiv and a karev. We're talking about a roiv and motzei against karev. All of a sudden, over here, Rava drops the motzei. It says one against one, and roiv wins. Roiv and karev alach roiv. Ushma mino rubi deraisa, and you see that the roiv is a deraisa. Why is it deraisa? Because she brings a carbon, and you burn the truma. Shma mino. Isala the rizera, the rizera. Ava bisha dalsis medina nu ulois. Is that a right to me? That Ruba the rice? Okay, whatever. So this is the very famous case of Tisha Chanuyos. This is what I did years ago, but now we have Yoshi. I told Yoshi mine is even better now. He did it in a few seconds, but okay. He has 9 stores. I only had like 6, 7. It's nicer. Okay, fine. Aesthetically nicer. You find a piece of steak on a street right in front of 9 stores. The problem is some of these stores sell treif meat. We go with the roiv. Every single time we learn it, I have to say my piece that today if you found a piece of meat right here in Mil Bet Shemesh, you wouldn't eat it because chas v'sholem, it's not the exact hechsher, it's not the bells hechsher that you used to. You have the vodaas, it's not this. It could be this, that. In those days, if you found a piece of meat, and it could be, there's a very good chance, there's a 40% chance that it's treif chazer, you're allowed to eat it. Why? Because most likely it came from the kosher stores. Okay, it doesn't even mention what the hechsher of those stores are. But in those days, it was perfect, whatever. And but there's still a good chance. There's no plumb on it, nothing. No, it's out of a bag. It could be mamish treif. We go by the roiv. So, what? So you're asking questions on me? How come I'm makvin on hechsherim? I see, like, that doesn't jive with what you told us on the trip. That's what you're thinking, huh?
I'm wondering who today would eat it off the floor.
That's what I was thinking.
Off the floor, it's not cooked. No, you wash it off. Do you know what happened to that before that? It was bloody and it was in a schlachtais on the floor, and a bunch of people that we want dead right now, they work in those schlachtaises and they're touching it and spitting on it and putting it. What do you think? Your meat is so clean. The floor. That's what bothers you now. You salt it and it's geschmack. Adds flavor. So that's what you're thinking about. Okay, everybody. You know what? It's not on the floor. It was in a bag. It was in a plastic bag. It's wrapped up nicely. I see your. I saw you were watching on your little vacation. Istiness. Okay. That's what you buy from Benny's. Benny, tell him, is it clean? We'll talk. We'll talk later. So, in that halacha over there, you don't say there's two chazakas. There's also the chazaka in most of the stores and also most of the butchers. No, one chazaka is enough. Why? How do I know? Even in a case where the city gates are locked, you don't have butchers coming in, going. It's only one chazaka of the stores. That's all. That's enough. One chazaka is enough. She only has one chazaka. Not like you, Rava. Rava himself is saying this. Before we said a woman has two chazakas. She has roiv and Motzei. And that's how I know it's from the Makar. Over here he's saying before there's only one chazaka. We go, the roiv beats out the karoiv. Even if it's one against one, karoiv, roiv wins. As the Gemara, he was trying to say that this case of a woman is two chazakas, not one. He took it back, and in fact, it's one chazaka against one chazaka. The roiv beats out the karoiv. Itmar. There's a cute story about Rabbi Yosef Oziel that when he was in Cheder, well, it actually started before Cheder. His father taught Rabbi Moshe when he was a child. He taught him torah, taught him chumash, and he knew it Baal Peh. It was very good. His first day in Cheder, in those days it wasn't like exactly this age, that age. There's a few older kids in the class. The Rebbe says, okay, who knows how to read this word? This word here that we have coming up in the Gemara. Rabbi Moshe looks at it and he says, Itamar. The whole class started laughing. Itamar. He thought it's Itamar from Tanakh. Itamar. So that's why the kids laughed. It's Itmar. So Rabbi Moshe said about that, he said he learned two things. First of all, when you see something, don't take it for face value. Think maybe you could come from another direction. I know that it's Itamar, but maybe today it's Itmar. Maybe you have to read it differently. Second of all, he was so insulted and so hurt by their laughs that it made an everlasting impression on him. And he said he's very makbid his entire life from that moment to be super, super sensitive to other people's feelings. You're looking at me again. What did I do? Did I insult somebody in the last 5 minutes? No, with the rolling of the eyes is a little different. With the rolling of the eyes, look at him. Look at that smile of his.
You're a paragon of sensitivity. That's not
yeah, like, I'm very sensitive because when I was a kid in Cheder or whatever. Itmar. Chavit shetzafa benar. You have a barrel that was floating on the river. A barrel of wine, geschmack, it's your lucky day. You found a large barrel of wine without any stempel, nothing. Are you allowed to drink it? The problem with the wine is that it's very possible that it's yayin nesach. Omer Rav Nintzes connected Ir Sherubi Yisroel. It's coming down the river, and it happens to be that this city over here is a bunch of Jews, most Jews. Muteris, you're allowed to drink it, it's not yayin nesach. Kenegedir Sheruba Nachrim Asura. If it's you found an opposite a city that's majority non-Jews, also Yain Nesach. Shmuel Amar, Afilo Nitzis Kenegedir Sheruba Yisroel Asura. You're never allowed to drink this wine. Emur Mahai Dekira Asoi. Rashi's Goyris Ahi Dekira. It's a name of a city. Here it is. I just threw it in there. I made it up. But Rashi says it's above Pumpadisa and Narda. The kids, it's on this river. There's two rivers in Bavel, the Pras and Chideko, Euphrates. So it's on the Euphrates, on top, somewhere on top. And that's a non-Jewish city. We know the Kira is a non-Jewish city. So maybe a barrel fell over there. And what happens when it goes into the river? It comes down river, and you found it. So how do you know that it's kosher wine? Says Gemara, the Rebbe Chanina come in. Oh, this sounds very similar to our machlokes. The Marisle, the Rebbe Chanina. You could say Shmuel says that most of the barrels of wine came from the non-Jews in Bavel. Who lives in Iran? Non-Jews. Iraq. Okay, Iraq. Right. Okay. Now I'm confused. Mar Lesle, the Rebbe Chanina. And the other Iraq, yeah. The other Mandomer says that we go by like Reb Chanina, not like Reb Chanina. You go by Karav. You go by whatever is closer to you. And since you're in a Jewish neighborhood, so it most likely came from the Jews. Says Gemara, everybody holds that Roiv and Karav, Roiv wins. So how come over here we don't say Roiv Koiv? Another Bachlek. It's just a question of Metzias, really. The Marsav Aramisa the Mahaik the Kira. So if it came all the way on top of the river, Ikuli Fashure have a Madvila, all the different bends in the river, the different ice that's melting in the river, different rock stuff. Says Rashi, look, if you take a boat and you try to go down the river, you know what's going to happen. There's going to be issues. Very unlikely that's going to make it down the river like that. Umar Sovar Kharifa de Naharo Nokat Vasoi. Now, if you take the middle of the river, where there's a big current, it's going to make it down the river. It happens to be that we were just now in Italy, 3 of us. One of us was a loser and didn't go on the best trip of the whole thing. For he's a loser. It's a loser. He knows. Yishkoach Mashgiach, I appreciate. The winner. He's the winner. Here. I'm giving Yishkoach for being my Mashgiach. No, he's not a loser. But he did it for the Shem Shemaim. He had to stay back. Bamas.
Good reason for that.
His wife told him he has to stay back. He stayed back. He didn't put up a fight. So it was. I'm saying this because other than it has nothing to do with the sugya, but if anybody ever goes to Italy, they should do this trip. I'm not trying to make him feel bad, but the Olam said that was the best part. You have to take a very heavy, what is it called? A level 3, 4. You can do it here in yisroel. It's also very geschmack. Over there, it's a little bit more dangerous and scary. Do not bring your wife. It's not a good idea to bring the wives. It's a little loud when they come. So it goes like this. You go into this raft and you tie your feet, you click your feet in that they don't come out of the raft. Now, I told Noam that I went with a guy here from Ramat Shemesh, name we're not going to mention. We're going down this river in France, and there's a guide, because you can't do this by yourself. So everybody has an oar, and he tells you, the guys on the right should go like this, everybody on the right. The guys on the left, everybody together, backwards. Kids, screaming commands the entire time. And we see this branch of a tree coming into the river. So he's very nervous, and he's like, right, everybody to the right. And Lamaisa, this guy then weighed 350 pounds, and he goes straight into this branch. The whole tree knocked over. No, what happened? It should have, but it didn't. He got knocked over, goes into the water, but his feet are stuck in these things. So his head is under, and he couldn't make a sit-up. He couldn't do a sit-up. He's back. So I'm trying to pull him up, and I couldn't. So the guide comes. The kids, the 3 of us, we pulled him in. By the time we got him in, he's underwater for like a minute. And he got a zetz that took him months to heal. So, but it's a lot of fun. It's geschmack. It's kedai. No, so the point is you got to go in the middle. If you go to the side, you have mitabe. You could drown or whatever. It stops you. You got to go straight down the middle, and you can go all the way from Ahid de Kuira all the way down to wherever the Jews live in Surah, wherever they're living. Umar Sabar. No, seriously, if anybody goes to the Alps, very, very highly recommended. You should take the rafting thing. Very kedai. It was unbelievable. No, I'm saying once in a while there's an accident. Once in a while there's an accident when you're driving a car to get to the raft. It's okay. Umar Sabar Kharifa de Nahara Nogabasoi. The guy found a barrel of wine in a vineyard of Arla. Arla, we know the first 3 years of any tree is Asur b'hana. So you find the barrel of wine. What's the likelihood that it came from that pardes? Says Gemara, shiur avina. You're allowed to drink it. What's pshat? Most of the barrels of the world are going to go by the roiv, not by the karev. It's very, very close to this vineyard. In fact, it's inside the vineyard. But most of the world is not Arla right now. So we're going to go with the roiv, you can drink it. Says Gemara, no, that's not why. Shani Asam, di mignav minei. If somebody actually took a barrel of wine from there, atznu b'gavei lemitznina, lemitzani. Tell you the Maisa, the famous Maisa, was Geshmak. Mamish says pshat over here. There was a diamond dealer who was out of town, and he shared a room with a big ganav. So he's in this room, and in the following morning, the ganav says, "Listen, you're not bad. I've been searching all night for your diamonds, and I couldn't find them. No, where are they?" So he says, "I'll tell you where they are, but you have to give them to me." He says, "Okay." He says, "They're in your pocket. In your pocket." The guy puts his hand in his pocket, and there they are. He says, "I knew that you're going to search this room, but I knew that you're not going to search your own pocket. And Memela, that's where I put them." A person who steals from a vineyard is not going to hide his loot in that vineyard. He's going to hide it anywhere else but there. So Memela, we understand that this barrel of wine came from somewhere else. By the way, Shalom Aleichem. What's your name? Yonah from? Brooklyn. Yonah from Brooklyn. Who's the other guy? What? Kensington. That's not Brooklyn. Kensington. I lived in Kensington. That's Brooklyn. By the way, I just saw a crazy picture of this massive rally with white pickup trucks. Everybody's dressed in black. It's crazy what's going on there. In Kensington. You let that happen there? No, Yervayim. Where do you live? What block? 18th and East 8th, 4 blocks away. That's where Mendelssohn's Pizza used to be, no? Like, yeah. No, but it used to be over there years ago on 18th. Yeah.
Do you know that Eli had a mikveh in his house there?
Yeah, did you know that I had a mikveh in my house? Now, what's your name? You're hiding behind who?
Eli Clapp.
From? Brooklyn. You came together, Kilo? The two of you? No, you don't even know.
He's from Brooklyn.
Givaldic.
By the way, I ate a meal at your sister on Shabbos.
Which one? The one that lives in America and Israel?
In Hillside.
I have a sister in Hillside? Okay. I'm learning new things. I got to call more often, you're saying.
Talk about you either.
What's Hillside, in New Jersey? Yeah, okay, I have an assistant in New Jersey. It's called something else. You threw me off it. Oh, okay, Elizabeth. What's Hillside? Elizabeth. Okay. Very nice. Baruch Hashem. Brooklyn, representing, love it. Givaldi. Oh, this is Dafka wine. The people don't hide wine in a vineyard, but they'll hide grapes in a vineyard because at that time people only run around the vineyard when it's time to make wine, and this is before that. People are not there. Okay. Zok the Gemara. Hanazike the Chamra. Okay, I'll tell you this mice. I wasn't going to. It has a little thing, so I'll show you. there was a guy, it's also a famous mashal, but there was a guy that was a drunk, big drunk. So the kids said, Jonathan, you remember this mashal?
It's Gary's fault, really. That's what I'm saying.
It is. 100%. You gotta start on the right foot. So this guy, he drank and drank, and his kids said, you know what, we're gonna show him, we're gonna give him a lesson. They take him, his drunken self, half asleep, and they bring him to the cemetery and they plop him down in the cemetery. The next day, they come all excited. They taught their father a lesson. Let's see what's going on. They come, and this is what they see. Let's see where it is. Here we go. This is a Gewaldic. These guys drunk, but there's a barrel of wine. What happened was that there was a bunch of they stole a barrel of wine. They didn't know where to hide it, so they hid it in the cemetery right above this guy. So this guy he continued to be drunk, and the insight is that even when it comes to not very good things, he provides what? This week's parasha. It's in this week's parasha. Rashi. Who does Rashi? Shai Maker with Rashi. Boom! Wow, on vacation. So there Shalom writes a leilach. What pasuk? Bilam Balak. So yeah, even for the bad, because will provide. No, I was just talking about with Hitler and this and Yimach Shemai. Okay, fine. They found these canteens, these leather canteens, if that's what you could call it, flasks of wine in Bei Kupai, in Kupai's vineyard, a Jewish vineyard. Sharnu Rava said it's okay. What about Rov? If you go by Rov, it shouldn't be a Jewish canteen, a flask. It should be, you're going by all of a sudden by Karav, not Rov. So the Gemara Shani Hasam, the Ruba the Shefchai, most Jewish bottlers are Jewish. The Shefchai Yisroel, most of the people that bottle these things are Jewish, and Memela, there is a Rov. We take the Rov away from the vineyard and we bring it to the bottlers. The bottling company is Jewish. And Memela, there's a Rov on that. Turning on the Daf, sponsored by Life Share Community, protecting families today before tomorrow's unexpected loss. Says we're talking about commercial size. Smaller ones, perhaps it's not a Jewish flask, and it's actually yain nesach, it's also to drink, because maybe it came from somebody who's walking by, and most people walking by are non-Jewish. And if they're larger flasks together with the smaller ones, that what? Where's that picture? Here we go. Look over here. This is not the greatest, but most of these bricks are on one side of the donkey. So the donkey's like tipping a little bit, not in this picture, but let's say there's a little bit of a lean or it's harder for him. So you take these other smaller weights and you put it on the other side. You counterweight. You can't. It's actually better for the donkey to add a little bit weight, but now it's countered, it's easier for him to walk. So maybe even though you're a commercial dealer, you're dealing with larger quantities, so it doesn't really make sense for you to have smaller bottles. No, you do have smaller bottles to counterweight it. Says the Eli Mishnah, if you have a city, you have to distance. For beauty, the beautification of the city, they had like nothing growing in front of the city. So therefore, you have to distance a tree from the city 25 amma. If they're a larger tree, like it's out of order here, like a shikma, like sycamore. What happened? Not this one. Sycamore. The larger branches. It's not as nice for the city for it to be 25 amma next to the city. Push it back 50. A tree that doesn't produce fruit is also not very nice for the city. 50 amma away. V'meir kadma, if the city was there first and you planted a tree illegally, you knock down the tree, you chop it down. Avi, that was his favorite part of the trip, to watch how they grab the tree like this. The whole tree goes down in 30 seconds. Huh? I don't know. That's your favorite thing. I have the... Mom stopped the taxi in the middle, got out, went, took a picture of the thing. And that's an amazing thing. A machine grabs a tree, the tree is this big. Grabs it like this, and on the bottom of it, it has a saw. And it still holds the tree as the, and puts it down nicely like this. Ayin sham. V'imoir kadma. And if the city was and if the tree was before the city, you built the city afterwards. You chopped it, regardless, you chopped down the tree because the beauty of the city is very important. You see, even the time of the Gemara, they're very makbid. Things should look nice. Aesthetics are important. We don't know if the city came first or the tree. No matter what, you chop down the tree. Now, does he get paid for it? He has to prove. He has to prove if he was there first. Says the Gemara, my time, what's going on here? We're talking about the beautification of the city, the entrance of the city. Mamish just yesterday, they put a beautiful olive tree in the circle right here in front of when you come to MDY. So there's a concept that 1,000 amma, not 25 amma, not 50 amma, 1,000 amma, 2,000 feet in front of the city, there's an empty field. Now, if that field has wheat planted there, so you can't make it empty. And if it's empty, you can't make it wheat. You can't change its designation. But there's 1,000 feet there, 1,000 amma, 2,000 feet. So the Gemara asks, if you have a sada, you have a migrash, whatever it is, empty field, it's 1,000 amma. So why are you telling me you can't plant a tree within 50 amma or 25 amma? It's already included in the 1,000 amma. Forget 1,000 amma out. Forget 50, 1,000. Says Gemara, no. According to Rabbi Lazar, you would be able to plant trees there. Why? The Amar Oisin Sada Migrash Migrash Sada, he argues. The only time you have 1,000 amma emptiness is in front of a city that belongs to Levium. Yisroelim, everybody else, in front of Bet Shemesh, it's not a Levi city. You don't have 1,000 amma. But trees, to plant them, 25 amma in front of a city, that you can't do in any city. So the Gemara, according to Rabbanon, that say, what's Aleph here? That's only to plant wheat. You could plant trees. Within 25 amma or 50 amma, depending on the tree, that's for the beautification of the city, you can't. So you could plant wheat, or you cannot plant wheat, you could plant trees. Again, you cannot plant wheat. And you could plant trees. Just within 25 amma of the city, even trees you can't plant. How do you know you cannot plant wheat, but you could plant trees? The Tanya. Karfaf, Yosef Beis Osayim, Shukav Ladira. Karfaf, let me show you for a second Karfaf. Karfaf is an area that is used by the public for their enjoyment. Here's a Karfaf. It's a large area. I came outside to take a picture of what a Karfaf is, and this is what the sun looks like in Ramat Bet Shemesh on a regular evening. Unbelievable. So this is a Karfaf. By the way, that's the parking lot that you should park right over here. See where people are walking, and there's a lot of spots there, and you just have to walk one block up. Anyways, that park area with its benches, tables, that is a Karfaf. It's very, very large, but if you put an Eruv around it, you could carry on Shabbos. What if it has a bunch of wheat, it has things growing in it, you're not allowed to carry on Shabbos, even if there's an Eruv. We have areas like that here in Ramat Bet Shemesh. There's an Eruv around, but there's a bunch of weeds and everything, so you're not allowed to carry there. Why? Because it's a large area that's loy hukav ledira. It could be a hukav ledira, but it's not considered a karfaf, it's considered more a gina. And that would be also to carry it. You surrounded it to benefit, to live there, to use it. If most of it was planted with other stuff, now it turns into a garden, and you do not walk in a garden. You don't use a garden. Now this is the nakuda. If it was nizra rubai, you cannot use it on Shabbos. You change its designation from a karfaf shukif ledira to a karfaf that's not. But nita ruba, if you put a bunch of trees in there, nothing happened if you planted trees. So what do you see? There's a difference between a tree and wheat. If you plant wheat, you ruin the karfaf. You cannot, before you're able to carry there, plant wheat, you cannot carry there. Before you can carry there, you plant trees, you continue carrying there. So you see there's a big difference between a tree and wheat. It says in the Mishnah, if the city came before the tree, you're not allowed to plant trees in front of a city. If the city was there before, then you chop down the tree, you don't ask questions, and you don't pay. Says Gemara, how come when it comes to a pit, you chop down the tree, even though it came illegally, you cut down the tree and you pay the guy for the tree. We're going to see it tomorrow. And how come over here, when the tree came illegally, you chop down the tree and you don't pay him? How come when it comes to a pit, you do pay him? And how come when it comes to a city, you don't pay him? Omer Rav Kahana, what do you say? What could be a good reason? There's a pit and there's a city.
One is down, one is not.
Oh, I hear. That's a nice. He's saying there's a difference between damaging a pit and... No, it's the opposite. I'm damaging the pit and I have to pay you for not damaging me. Shkoyach. You put something illegally and I have to pay you to take it down.
Then you could say, we bought the right to build there.
You're saying a svara, I think your svara would be the opposite, no? It's a good nafkamina, but logically it doesn't make...
He said the same thing. If I could do it, you could do it. It's my property, your property. So that's why. So he has the right to do it.
No, and over here not. That's Rabbi Yosef. That's Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef argues in that Mishnah. Okay, what the Gemara is going to say is there's a difference between a city that's owned by the public and a private citizen. Public just knocks it down. You don't ask questions. Or Rav Kahana, kidra de beishutafi loy chamima veloy krira. In English, they say too many cooks in the kitchen. If you have a pot and you have too many chefs, so each chef is going to think the other chef is doing his job. I think you're doing the job, you're going to make it hot. You think I'm doing it. And at the end, what's going to happen? Nishtain and nishter. It's not cold, not hot. It's warm. It's terrible. Over here also, when it comes to the city, if you are going to be dependent on the city, who's going to pay you? You're going to, maybe he'll pay, maybe this, so it'll never get chopped down. I'm going to point my finger, you're going to pay me. No, he's going to pay me. It's not like there's something official. Oh, in the area, only this lady. It's a city, so I'll pay you, and then, so you know what we say? Chop it down. Now, it happens to be that just this week, and I explained to the Oil, I want to explain again. I think it's very important that Bezer Hashem MDY is going in a new direction. What happened? Now what happened? We have a lot of volunteers, and we have a lot of people helping and wanting to do, and everybody means well, but there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. So we told Yossi Klein, we said, you got to lead us. You'll be one person, one chef, will make decisions, and I just want to show you here. We had this meeting, it was unbelievable. We had 29 people, think about it, 29 people that every single day of the week, every day, they give a few hours of their day, at least a few hours. Some work full time, but every one of these people, so we called a meeting. Here it is. I'll show you a little bit of it.
Which is the new.
And there's a lot of people on Zoom. The ones in America on Zoom.
That's gonna have to be.
There's Avremi, there's Avrumi, two different people. One is a bookkeeper, one is the tech guy.
Avrumi is gonna have to supply, not Avremi. Avrumi is gonna have to supply the cheshbon once a month. Where the money was spent, where's every dollar, why. If the money came into the bank, where it is and how it came in, everything together with bookkeeping and accounting, that's his department. He was doing it the last 2 years, by the way, just off the record.
So anyway.
Next.
So I asked Yoshi to do this, Stam, for the occasion. Here we go. There's a pot with too many chefs. I said to use you guys, not everybody. I said, you're the only guys that wouldn't care. You're above this. So anyways, here's... I'll be putting wood under the fire. Made the fire larger. Here's Noam putting ice into the top. Here comes down a crown, and Yossi gave him a push from the side. He said, no, it's not going to work like that. Let me see if it happens by itself. Oh, it's not even on click. Lamazen, I might have pushed too quickly. Oh, here comes down the crown. Boom. Okay. So now we have one guy making decisions, Rabbi Motzei. One guy. Okay. And Nakash Baruch Hu give him the strength. He shouldn't burn out because he's doing this Mamash Hashem Shemayim voluntarily. He's not making any money off it. And it's a lot of work he has to deal with 29 people. He showed me 29 different people. He has all the editors and all the tech people and the accountings and the marketing and the kids are what? Market cheers. It's a different story. Yeah, shkoyach. Vim, thank you. Yosef had to stick that in. He's not just dealing with me. He's going to be dealing with you, Eli. Okay. Vim Meir Kadma. Where are we? Good. That was my point. My part is coming out. His part is staying in. Where are we? Oh. Umay Kushya says the Gemara. I have no idea where it is.
Right after
Umay Kushya, the second line. Dil Moshani Ezekid the Rabbim, Ezekid the Yachid. What was your question, B'chlal? When it comes to chopping down a tree that's ruining the beauty of the city, take it down, you don't get paid. But when I'm taking down a tree that's ruining somebody else's pit, take it down, but he does get paid. Eli Itmar the Rav Kahana, Seife Itmar. No, it's the second part of the Mishnah. In Ma'ilon Kadam, before it was that if the city was first, and then the tree came, chop it down, don't get paid. Over here it's the opposite. When the tree came first, the tree had all the right to be there. The tree came before the city, you chop it down, and you get paid. Ask Gemara, I don't trust you guys. First pay me, and then I'll chop down the tree. The reason is because if you do that, you wait to get paid, you'll never get paid, and they'll never chop down the tree. So first thing, chop down tree, then get paid later. If there's a suffix, what came first, the city or the tree, chop down, and he doesn't get paid. If you have a suffix, what came first, the pit or the tree, you don't have to chop down the tree. How come over here you have to chop down the tree? Says Gemara Hasam, the vadai lav make its koy. When it comes to a tree in a pit, if the tree came first, if the tree comes first, you don't have to take it down. So not every situation do you have to chop down a tree. Sometimes you don't chop it down, sometimes you do. So maybe if you have a suffix, do I have to chop it down or not? So I have a suffix, why should I chop it down? If there's a 50% chance that I don't take down the tree. 50% chance I do take that. So I don't know. So if you don't know, you don't take it down. But when it comes to the city, it's 100% the tree comes down, regardless of who put it there first. We always take down the tree when it comes to the city. So when it comes to the suffix, take it down. It's what we do. We take down trees in front of the city. What about getting paid? So for that, you'll have to bring proof, and then you will get paid. If you can prove it, Rabbi Oziel, have a wonderful day. Have good Shabbos, Motzei Shabbos in the Waldorf, 10 and 11 o'clock. Thank you for coming.